From SCNR, FBI says would-be Trump assassin had no identifiable political ideology. Quote, "We have not uncovered any credible evidence indicating the subject conspired with anyone else," said Special Agent Kevin Rojek. Now, we did talk about, just a moment ago, in the previous segment, for those that are just joining in this segment, we talked about the grand jury that has been impaneled in the Trump assassination attempt. I'm going to go ahead and say, just with as much confidence as I've said repeatedly, I believe there's official capacity involvement in the Trump assassination, whatever that form may be.
Attempt. He was not assassinated.
Right, the Trump assassination attempt. And we have this from Fox 55. FBI releases photos of the gun used in Trump assassination attempt. You can notice two things. They've disassembled the weapon and then point out the collapsible stock, they call it. This is amazing. The photos show the firearm's collapsible stock, which investigators say may have been used to conceal the rifle at the site. Well, I'd like to point something out. To the average person who does not know anything about weapons, they see a photo of the gun broken into two different pieces, and they assume collapsible stock probably referenced something about the gun being broken into two pieces, and that he was easily able to put in a backpack. Okay, well, collapsible stock is the stock right here, and it moves like 4 inches. So to imply that he could move the stock 4 inches in one direction or the other, if it's even 4 inches, and that's how he concealed it, is an absurdity. But they're trying to trick people, it would seem. Now, there's already been reporting that he was photographed walking around with the weapon anyway. So why they keep doing this, your guess is
Thank you for pointing that out. That's been cognitive dissonance for me. You said that he was seen carrying the rifle. I was hanging out with Luke Rutkowski doing the Best Political Show, and he was talking about the collapsible stock, meaning that you could take the gun apart into two pieces and conceal it in a backpack. But maybe Luke was wrong about that.
A collapsible stock is different from so there are certain weapons where you can break them into two pieces. There are certain weapons where they actually can fold as well.
Yes.
I don't know if this is that. I'm not a gun guy. I can just tell you that the stock. See, okay, look on the screen. This right here, that little piece, you press it and you can move the stock forward and backward. They have those at all the gun stores over here all the time, and they're like, "Here's a collapsible stock," and they go, it makes it so that you can adjust it for your arm length needs or whatever. But they're using that to imply that's how he concealed it, and that's silly.
Right.
Certainly, he could have concealed it in some other ways, I guess. I don't know.
That's why it's obviously presented with a backpack. And again, this is all part of this press conference that I was talking about today. You know, it's really, to me, seems like they are trying to start steering the ship on this narrative. With Rojek, you know, he said. He gave a lot of information. One of the things that he covered was this timeline, saying there were reports that Crooks was spotted here at this time. We can confirm with visual surveillance evidence that he was actually over here at 426 outside the security perimeter. They give the timeline of he was only on the roof for about 6 minutes. We can confirm this through body camera and local business footage, that he fired off 8 rounds. Like, they are acting as if they are confirming and giving you the full story. But I think obviously with the fact that we're over a month out from this, and they're still saying, well, we don't know what the ideology is, and there's really nothing to say in his emails or his online information. They did talk a lot about his search history today. One of the lines that stood out to me was how far was Oswald from Kennedy, and the fact that he was specifically Googling like where Trump was going to stand on stage. They'll point out that he was researching, starting in September of 2023, he would research Trump campaign events and when is he going to be in Pennsylvania, and occasionally would Google it looks like the Biden campaign as well. But then he seems to continue to just be fixated on Trump. It's hard for me to believe that they are still sort of discerning a motive when also these searches seem to be pretty specific.
Who discovered these searches? Who made this announcement?
The FBI.
Okay.
And that's where this photo came from too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to hear FBI give a statement on the status of these international bank accounts that the shooter allegedly had. I mean, I heard that was a confirmed report.
They didn't talk about it today. That he
had international bank accounts. So that my question is, are we tracking transfers there? Are we looking into anything? Are the parents giving you access to the bank accounts? Do you have his mobile device? Can you access the bank accounts there? I mean, there's so many questions I'd love to ask. Right. Obviously, it's an open investigation. However, the media, the ones who has access to the FBI, now, unfortunately, these are New York Times national security reporters and stuff like, Adam Goldman and people like that. They're not obviously asking FBI the real questions. They're not using their sources to find out real information. Hopefully, I don't know, James O'Keefe gets a scoop about this, because I think without a whistleblower, we're just going to rely on the FBI.
Yeah, and to me, this is the equivalent of authorities in Tennessee saying the Covenant School shooter had no kind of motivation. They can't tell what the motivation was, even though they obviously have a manifesto there. I think that they are just not wanting to incite any kind of tension before an election that could indicate that, it's a left-wing motivated person. Obviously, I don't know that for sure. They haven't definitively proven it either way. But it's hard for me not to believe that after all of this time, they're basically saying like, oh, he hasn't encrypted multiple encrypted email accounts. We got into them, but we're still looking through them. Initially, they were saying he didn't use social media, and then it appears that he was on some kinds of account. Like,
if this guy was a Nick Fuentes incel right-wing extremist, they would have
tell you.
divulged that information quickly because it would have been brief. Nick would have had his meeting with his FBI agent and they would have briefed it. But yeah, if this was actually a right-wing person, the FBI would have released it. So clearly this indicates the fact that they don't know anything. I mean, he has parents. I mean, we're not doing any sort of character analysis. The FBI, who found out grandparents, tracked them down, who took 1 foot on the Capitol, we're expected to believe the FBI is not incapable of knowing anything.
They still can't figure out this guy's motive.
I mean, to be fair, they got their hands tied with this January 6th thing.
Yeah, it's true.
You may have heard of it, and they're very busy, so they can't be bothered by this.
This foreign bank account narrative thing is first I've heard that crooks had multiple foreign bank accounts. Do you know what companies, what banks they were with? Has that been released, the information?
It's a great question. It was confirmed. An AP. I'm trying to let me look into this right now. I don't know much information.
His name was Crooks.
Kind of like everything that's interesting. It's like it was revealed and then never followed up on.
That's for a 22-year-old, is 22 was he? To have foreign 20 years old to have foreign bank accounts, that's not normal.
But again, I don't know. I've heard this rumor. I don't know if it's true.
What's interesting, you have MSN saying shooter had 3 encrypted overseas accounts, and then you have the USA Today doing a fact check saying he didn't have these accounts.
But the FBI said that they were overseas-based encrypted email accounts. That's what they said today.
Email accounts. That's different than bank accounts,
right.
I see.
I mean, I can understand that there are a lot of people trying to get some information out there, and if you're in a position where you don't really trust what the FBI is going to say.
I mean, this says at a congressional briefing with the FBI and Secret Service, they divulged that crooks had accounts in Germany, New Zealand, and Belgium.
Accounts? Does that mean bank accounts or email accounts?
It says offshore accounts.
See, that would imply banking to me, but again, they only talked about overseas encrypted email accounts today.
And they also connected that, by the way, to the Iranian plot. So this was, remember, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, a part of that, which was totally a national security leak. Had all the.
But they're also saying that he acted alone, that there's no indication that anyone else was involved. So are we going to tie it to Iran?
It's just
or
like
what are we doing
stir
here?
the pot, make it as crazy as possible so you have no idea what ingredients are in there because we got an election coming up. That's what it sounds like is being done right now.
And
yeah, they want to take away the political power that Trump would get from what a massive story this is.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it. I think that after the Kamala Harris is now the nominee bump, especially after the DNC, the media is now going to sort of calm down on that a little bit. She's not really releasing any policy. She hypothetically is going to talk with her, best friend Tim Walz tomorrow. But the media is now kind of ready to turn back to the assassination attempt. And I think that's why the federal government is trying to get out ahead of the narrative right now, because there are a lot of Americans who rightly have questions. I mean, even if you are not a huge Trump fan, the fact that one of the most influential politicians in our country could be attacked like that on stage, that Corey Competore could die because of it, and that 2 other men could be severely injured. I mean, it doesn't make people believe that we are as safe as, hypothetically, the government is trying to say we are.
No, we're like, I was thinking earlier how we live in like this organized danger of a system. We drive by a car at 50 miles an hour, they're going 50 miles an hour, and no one swerves and hits each other. Presidential candidates walk outside in the middle of a crowd and just talk, and we just trust that no one's going to open fire for the most part.
Yeah, because the fear-mongering that we get from Democrats on guns is BS. That's it.
They didn't even have Trump on stage when they had all the victims of gun violence on stage.
That's true.
How dedicated are they to this cause?
Well, they lie all the time. They claim that AR-15s are dangerous and need to be banned because of mass shootings, when handguns are typically what's used in mass shootings. It's just not correct. It's all lies.
Or pharmaceuticals. I mean, not that they're actually doing the shooting, but people that go crazy tend to be the reasons.
More people are
for
dying
mass
from
shooting.
peanuts, I believe. Like peanut allergies. And so the argument always then goes like, but that's an accident. We're talking about people with the intention to use weapons of war, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then why are you bringing up fake ones? And for that matter, how come Maryland has banned the M1A as an assault weapon, literally, but the SCAR 20S is not?
The M1A Garand? Is that what that is?
No, there's M1 Garand, there's M1A. The M1A is an assault weapon banned in Maryland, specifically on their list of banned weapons. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And then the SCAR 20S, which is I don't know, people probably argue, but it's a much more modern and better gun. Totally fine.
Both semi-automatic.
Both semi-automatic.
Scars lighter.
Scars
Lighter, right?
I would presume, yeah. M1s are
You would
pretty
more
big.
likely use the lighter weapon in an assault if you need to run.
I'm just saying. I'm just thinking about it because I know Luke had one, and Luke's was pretty heavy, and so I'm like, when we're at the range, like I don't know, Luke's was pretty heavy, and so I learned this specifically because I live in West Virginia, but I've got an M1A, and you can't bring it to Maryland. It's an assault weapon, and I'm like, what? I think it holds I think it can hold 10 in the magazine, at least mine, and then Luke's got a SCAR 20S with like 30 round magazine. I think it's what was it 308? I'm not sure. It's been a minute. 7.62. All I know is that they fire the same thing. One's more modern and better, but for some reason they ban it. It's because they're lying about why they're banning these things. They're banning these things for no reason. They're fear mongering to make money and get donations, and they want to terrify people. And guns are scary. That's it. But as you're pointing out, 99.9% of the time, people are walking around and ain't nothing happening.
Yeah.
Right, but gun lobbyists, they get paid big bucks. Anti-gun lobbyists, excuse me. There's lots of organizations shelling out money for anti-gun lobbying, and they have to figure out a way to justify their salary. They got to do something, so they drum up all this fear and all this propaganda.
I always liked the phrase, an armed society is a polite society. I'm not sure who said it. It was someone very influential from the past. In the chat, you might know who that was. And it's true. When you think that everyone around you is armed with a weapon, with a gun, ain't no one going to be talking crap. It's very rare that you're going to get in someone's face and provoke them if you think they're armed. Like in Miami, I feel so safe walking around thinking like everyone around me is armed right now. We're good. Even if there's an external threat, we're good. If there's an internal threat, we're good. We're good. And then people look at me and they're like, he's probably armed. We're good. It's just a great feeling.
I mean,
oddly, I didn't think I would think that as an adult.
People, you respect the potential for catastrophe. And there are a lot of people out there who think they can do whatever they want because there's no one who can do anything back to them. And this leads to bad circumstances. And then you look at places where people get to be armed and they think twice. Do you want to get into a fight on equal footing with these people? No, but bullies, you create a jurisdiction where only criminals have guns and criminals are going to enjoy that. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.